Good morning and welcome to Today in LA. I hope everybody's doing well this morning on a Thursday morning, a day before high school football all over this area. And of course, we've got some announcements to mention about some teams that are not going to play because of the COVID. And very sad to see that. I hope we don't get into the same deal that we had last year at this time, but it doesn't look good. Brantley and Luverne are not going to play, and that's something that really, that's a big football game, and it's got to be something really bad for those folks not to play. And what do you think, Bryce?
Well, there's a lot of people testing positive, so I'm not surprised. I hope they can reschedule that one, though.
Oh, yeah, surely they will. And of course, now about these wins and losses, I don't know how that would work. What do you think?
Well, in college and the pros, they say that they're going to make you take a loss if you're the team that had the COVID issues. But I don't think they ought to do that in high school, because in college and pros, they have all these mandatory protocols, and they're trying to punish you if you did not get enough of your players vaccinated or do what you're supposed to. Well, the high schools can't afford to test all these players like the colleges and the pros can. So, I mean, they have no control over what happens. It seems unfair to me.
I will say this, that the Sun Belt Conference has the rule that if you've got you got to shut down because of the virus, it's a loss. It's a loss in the Sun Belt Conference. I saw that recently.
Well, it's probably for logistical reasons too. That they can't just constantly be reshuffling the schedules and moving them around. But I think it's kind of a moot point, because if you look at the protocols, they kick in and affect the players who are unvaccinated. Well, most teams, 90% of their players are vaccinated, so you're only going to have, 10, of 100 players, 10 that could be affected. And that's not the reason you got to forfeit games is when you get down below 55 players, or you don't have enough, say, offensive linemen or defensive back. Well, I don't think the numbers are there for it to hit them like it did last year.
We don't know for sure, but I'll tell you something we do know for sure, that my store on the bypass has started getting these boxes of Red Hot.
Oh, yeah.
I love Red Hots.
I haven't had any in a long time.
This was way they were boxed back when I was growing up. These Red Hots. So you drop by the Ben Beard's filling station on the bypass and go in there, and I bought 9 boxes this morning. And I mean, I love it. I love this Red Hot.
How much are they?
They're 45 cents.
Well, you did good.
And he wasn't sure of that. I thought it was going to just be a quarter. Maybe it is just a
I didn't
quarter.
know you could get a piece of candy for under $1.
I tell you what, this box of candy for a quarter is a real deal. And I know some of my friends are saying, man, I hadn't seen that box of Red Hots in a long time. It's the original Red Hot. I've been started eating on them already.
I never really ate them because they were too hot for me.
Oh, I love it.
I'm gonna tell you what I used to do. How I know the inflation is worse than the government tells us. When I was 10 years old, living in Opelika, Alabama, on Windmill Drive, we'd come home from school and then we'd be driving the parents crazy probably, and they wanted us out of the house. Sometimes Mom would give us $1, the neighborhood kids.
Yeah.
About 10 of us would hike up Windmill Drive, cut through the woods and all this kudzu. I remember there was tons of kudzu. And once you went through a trail of about a half mile or a mile through the woods, the forest, you would come out at Mr. Quick, which was a convenience store. Did you ever have a Mr. Quick?
No, I never had one.
We had one in Opelika. Well, that $1 it was amazing the amount of candy you could get. I bet you could go back in your day and you could probably do it with 50 cents. But
Well, see,
I
used
could
to buy-
get
I bought
candy bars, Now and Later, Mr. Good bars, a drink. I mean, I would load up with $1. My mom would give me $1, and it was like Christmas morning.
Well, for a quarter,
Now,
I could get a Pepsi Cola with peanuts in it for a quarter.
Skip forward today, convenience store I go to, they got candy bars right by the cash register. Cheapest one I see is $1.19.
Oh, yeah.
I know you can go to grocery stores and sometimes see them. They're Dollar General for 85 cents or something.
Of course.
But they've shrunk. They're little bitty candy bars. So I used to be able to get 7 or 8 pieces of candy easily for $1. I can't get one.
Well, let me tell you this. What I do, I put the Red Hots between my cheek and my gum, and boy,
it's all good.
It's really good.
25 cents and it lasts a long time.
Yeah, I think you can get it for a quarter, but it's delicious. Okay, we got a lot of things to talk about this morning. Of course, Auburn's coach is off quarantine finally, and I know that took a little bit away from him. And he said I am not anti-vaccine. Vaccine.
They call them anti-vax.
He said Auburn football coach Brian Harsin said Wednesday the team's vaccination rate is increasing almost every day, but did not give an exact number when asked. But he's it doesn't say that Harsin, who went on quarantine, actually had taken the vaccine. So
no, obviously he didn't, or he would admit it.
Yeah,
but also his defensive coordinator Mason, that came from Vanderbilt, he did get vaxxed, and he caught COVID too. So I mean, you get it both ways.
Yeah.
Vaxxed. But a lot of, I do say this. A lot of people are being labeled as anti-vax that are, all they really are is anti-mandatory vaccine for COVID. Like, I haven't got vaccinated for COVID yet. I might, but so far I haven't. But that doesn't mean I'm anti-vaccination. I mean, if you smallpox, polio, for my children get all the vaccinations for.
Well, if I hadn't been vaccinated, he wouldn't be sitting next to me. I guarantee you. I'd be alone.
Well, you need to be vaccinated. I'm glad you are. Let's see.
Go ahead, Mike Amos.
Morning.
Mike Amos calling in from Great Beach this morning on the eve of football Friday. But Mike, things are starting to look dim in some ways. Some of these teams that we were looking forward to watching are not going to play this weekend.
Yeah.
So who's not playing now?
Right now, Luverne and Brantley the game has been postponed, and
that affects Troy Cable.
We went to a yearly checkup at our pediatrician yesterday near Sandestin, and said it was pretty bleak right now. I was amazed. I was sitting there, and I mean, family after family after family was coming in, and they were just opening the door for them, and they weren't having to wait. I finally just turned to the lady up there. I said, "Are these all people that are trying to get tested for COVID?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "I'm not supposed to say anything." And we had to wait about an extra 40 minutes to get back to my daughter's yearly checkup because she turned 5. And then I talked to the pediatrician, and she said that it's the worst she's ever seen since COVID started. And she's usually not very negative.
My doctor said the same thing. Yeah.
It is, and
she's usually very positive about it, but she said, just due to the fact that, she's not blaming the school systems and the superintendent. She said, just due to the fact that no kids are wearing masks and no teachers are wearing masks in Walton County, she said there's just going to be tons of schools shutting down and tons of kids having to isolate, but just because there's going to be so many people getting it. So I just told my wife that yesterday, and I guess I just said it was just a matter of time. But one good news she did say, she said that out of all the children she has tested positive for COVID, and it's been 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, none of them have had to go to the hospital.
Yeah, there's 40 hospitalized in Alabama right now, children. So children is 0 to 18. That's more than they've had in the past. I mean, before you would have 9 at one time. Now there's 40. But there's 1.2 million children in Alabama. So, I mean, that's a tiny. And then of the percentage, there's 2,800 people hospitalized in Alabama with COVID right now, which is almost as high as the peak in the winter. So it's eye-opening.
Yeah, the interesting thing she told me before I left, I said, well, what about the vaccine for younger kids? And she said, well, we're hearing in October that the vaccine will be given to kids 5 and up.
Oh,
so that was strange to hear. I didn't know that was even coming down the road this quick.
Oh boy, I don't understand that.
Because I haven't seen anything about any other teams canceling out, so maybe we can cross our fingers and hope that doesn't happen. Of course, a big night for Troy University's soccer team. They've got a big game against Auburn on the soccer field at Troy, and it is going to be a good match. So if you like soccer, your kids like soccer, you take them out to the soccer field and let them run around and have a good time and watch good soccer. How about that?
Yes, and my daughter plays, but she hadn't really taken an interest in the sport, to tell you the truth. Because she didn't watch it on TV or go out and watch a real college soccer game, so she needs to.
Right, show me that helmet right there, the white one. Now, this is Zion Chapel. That's the first time we've had them there. That is a good-looking helmet, isn't it?
Yes.
And let me tell you, that helmet, I think, cost Mike, what time, about $400 or what?
Gosh.
Majority of them, yeah. The good helmets are over $350.
Well, Randy Bryant's got a beautiful helmet that goes right next to him.
So how many would a high school program have to buy? 50?
Yeah,
so 50 times 350, what is that, Michael? Gosh, that's a lot of money.
What's that, 15,000?
Well, they don't have to buy them every year, but they refurbish them a lot too.
Yeah, they refurbish them every year. A helmet usually lasts, I think, 5 years, 7 years, something like that.
Yeah. All right, we got soccer against Auburn tonight. On Friday night, we've got a big volleyball match against Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Troy in a volleyball match. And then you wait until next Monday, and you got UAB and Troy in a big volleyball match. So we've got a lot going on just this weekend, and then of course next weekend.
Hey, I enjoy volleyball.
I do too.
Going to those games.
And I'll tell you something real, and I'm sure they're it's a lot to look at. I mean, good-looking people who play volleyball. Really is, yeah.
That's the reason to go right there. It's attractive athletes.
But only thing I can't understand about the volleyball is when you say the girl's got a kill, or this girl has all these kills, and she got more kills than anybody else. Where in the heck are you coming from on kills? Is that what is a kill? Do you know?
It's a spike.
A spike in volleyball. Why don't they call it a spike? Why don't they call it a spike instead of a kill? That don't sound very good for young kids.
That's not politically correct there, Frank.
But
I'm gonna raise my girls down here to be beach volleyball players. I've decided we don't want to travel anywhere. So travel to the beach.
Well, of course, we got a lot going on in college
Didn't
football.
They ban the swimsuits at Olympic beach volleyball or something?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, my wife told me about that.
Well, I mean, I heard that they were talking about doing it, and it was even the women didn't like it. I mean, the men liked the women in the swimsuits.
Yeah, but volleyball is getting to be a real big sport, and in fact, looking at games today of local interest, Elba's at Enterprises at volleyball, Goshen is at Brantley, Zion Chapel is at Kinston, Florella's at Sampson, Pike Liberal Arts against Abbeville at 5 today. That's at Abbeville. Elba at Luverne, Houston Academy at Cottonwood. Opp is playing at Andalusia. This is volleyball now. New Brockton at Geneva, Geneva County at Wicksburg. I tell you what, volleyball's big. Abbeville at Houston County, Houston Academy at Daleville today, and Arrington's at Charles Henderson.
Well,
How
it
about
seems
that?
like a lot of programs, a lot more than I thought, had volleyball programs.
And then of course Charles Henderson Arrington is playing at Charles Henderson. That's a big difference in the classification.
Now, when you played sports and went to high school, and then let's ask Michael, how many girls' sports did Charles Henderson offer at Phoenix?
I'll tell you this: when I was there, none, zero. And,
They offered girls basketball, softball, tennis. I don't think we had any girls that played golf.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. I guess that's it.
Well, see, you had three, though. I think we had girls' basketball. Coach Locklear coached it. Track, because one of the elder was a star track player. Linda Lee ran track, too.
Cheerleading, I guess.
Cheerleading, but it really wasn't considered a sport. But yeah, that was the big thing.
Right.
Cheerleading. I wouldn't say we didn't have softball. Didn't have volleyball.
And I think what it is the best of three. I'm looking at just the score in volleyball. Like one score was 22 to 25. The next one was 25 to 15. So the third one is for the match, and the other team won 15 to 11. So that's where they score it. Like,
Yeah, trying out for cheerleader at Charles Henderson back in the day almost wasn't there. I mean, that was the most pressure-packed thing a young girl could ever experience. You're talking about a full gym, people going wild, crazy, screaming. You had to try out in front of the judges. The judges were there. The cheerleading coach was there.
it was big.
I mean, it was about the toughest thing you could face.
And just for 8 girls, too, the size of the team was a lot smaller.
Two girls, I think, per class, wasn't it? 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade,
I don't know.
12th grade out of the book, maybe more.
I thought it was just the best 8 girls.
Yeah, they didn't have any grade quotas when I was there. It
And
might
each
change.
year you had to try out.
Like we just had in my class, we just had one cheerleader all through. Amy Reeves was the only cheerleader in our class that was there. I mean, but you're right. And then it was traumatic. Sometimes you'd have girls that had been cheerleaders for 1 or 2 years, and then they didn't get picked. They didn't get picked some years after to come back. They got beat out, I guess.
And some of them.
Should have been closed to the public. The more I think about it.
Oh yeah,
but
I
it
like
was-
it. Yeah.
It was big time, and at the end of the year they went to Nashville for the championships.
So
And that was a big deal.
Has the edge as quarterback one for Auburn, but it's always a guy. It's always one guy until it's not. Brian Hartson discussed Auburn quarterback situation with a little more than a week until the team's season opener against Akron. So right now, Bo Nix has the edge over T.J. Finley to be the backup quarterback to transfer from LSU. So I would guess no surprise there. Did you think Bo Nix would probably be the starter?
Yep.
Oh,
You know that
yeah. Oh,
expression
yeah.
QB1, I like it, but didn't that come from Friday Night Football Lights, that TV show?
They always called Tom Brady QB1.
Well, I think it came. What was that? Friday Night Lights was the TV. I am binge watching that show with my wife right now. It came on 10 years ago, and I missed it. But it's good. But that's the quarterback was QB1.
Yeah. Of course, the games on TC2 this week. The Luverne Brantley game has been canceled. So Steve will pick up another game from somewhere, I'm sure. And then on Channel 17, you'll see Charles Henderson and Montgomery Catholic. That should be a real good game. Montgomery Catholic, one of the top teams in the state. In fact, I was looking at
They have one guy that is a top 10 prospect in the state, I think. So we got to go scout him out here. See if he's going to Alabama or Auburn or Troy or somewhere.
And I think Montgomery Catholic's now playing 5A football. Is that right or what?
3A.
3A? Oh, yeah, I see it. They're ranked 3rd in 3A. So that game against Charles Henderson Should be a pretty
let's
good
name
game.
you know, I was the editor of the Montgomery Independent for 7 years. So, man, what I did is I covered the private schools in Montgomery because that was our subscriber base. So you got Montgomery Academy, Trinity, St. James, Montgomery Catholic, Alabama Christian.
Yeah.
And then that's public school teams. And then you got Macon East, Hooper, Success Unlimited Academy. You just go on and on and on. There are so many private schools that have a lot of students in Montgomery.
All right, now again on TC2, we've got a game, and Steve, have you made your decision on this? Enterprise, the Wildcats. How about that? You Enterprise fans can watch the Enterprise Wildcats versus Dothan. At one time, this was a huge, huge rivalry, and I think it's coming back with the new schools.
Well, I mean, they're 7A and 7A. They're one of the few 7As down this way.
Yeah, and of course Dothan's 7A too, I think.
They are.
And so this is a big 7A game, and the game's is it played at Enterprise or at Dothan? Enterprise played at Enterprise, so that's going to be a great game to watch. A beautiful stadium.
I pick Enterprise. Enterprise is hot right now.
Well, I tell you how you could
Yeah,
tell.
one thing, Smitty Grider will have Dothan ready, though. Smitty Grider is a great coach.
Yeah, you're right. But I'll tell you this: you can tell who's got money and who doesn't. Enterprise has got a new $350,000 playing field now. They've got all-weather playing field now. Hot. The temperature on Troy's the university's football field last Saturday during the scrimmage was 115.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it is hot, no question about it.
That's a good question. I wonder how many high schools have the artificial surface.
Not any, many around.
A lot of Birmingham schools do.
Yeah, but Enterprise just showed what kind of money they've got. It looks like a college.
What did Bobby Bowden tell you?
Well, he said the only difference in Troy and Florida State was money.
The only difference between Enterprise and some other high school is what?
Money.
The only difference between Thompson and Hoover and these football powers.
Now, let me ask you this, Enterprise people everywhere in our listening area, on Facebook or wherever you're from, the bad thing is Enterprise can't find a name for the stadium. They call it Wildcat Stadium. You need to name that stadium Thad Morgan Stadium in Enterprise, Alabama. Thad Morgan Stadium in Enterprise, Alabama. You Enterprise people, get off your rumps and get that done.
I'm glad you said that because
Do you know Thad Morgan?
No, but I'll yield to you. You're right. He must be the great.
Well, he was a principal and superintendent of schools down there for years, and he was a coach even before that. But Thad Morgan is a perfect example of a stadium to be named after somebody, and I think they need to get that done.
We need to get the Whitey Whitman gymnasium at Charles Henderson Middle School named too for Coach Whitman.
And that already has a name, doesn't it?
I don't know what I don't think it does.
Yeah, it does. The gym at Charles Henderson?
Middle school.
Oh, I'm sorry, middle school. Oh, yeah, they definitely need to do that. They definitely need to do it. It won't take time.
It'll take no much. If they need money, the students of alumni of Coach Whitman will raise it in 5 minutes. And let's honor Coach Whitman for the decades of giving us the best PE program.
Remember this show is brought to you by First Cahaba Bank, and of course, before long, all those places out on the off the bypass are going to be full of people. Now I noticed that there's a name, one team, or not one team, but we finally got a new vendor out there, and looking forward to watching.
Well, the bypass is more business. You know that gas station next to McDonald's
is opening up.
Have they still not opened? But man, that's gonna be nice.
I think it's
So where the old D-line used to be?
Oh yeah,
The old Sheffield at one time, but I think
that's right.
I remember Sheffield. That was a Crow Hill tradition to get on Danny Kelly's big old truck and go to Sheffield.
It's a wonder he hadn't gotten put in jail for that. I mean, let all those kids hanging off of the tail end of a truck.
Sheffield was my dad was in the gas business, so that was, we knew all the gas stations that did a lot of business. And that Sheffield did it, man. So it was strange that place sat empty for just years and years and years, because it's a perfect place for a convenience store and gas station.
And what was the other store? Ross. In there, a department store called Ross.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Right? There's a Ross going up out there now. They got a sign up.
Over there near like TJ Maxx.
And then, of course, the deli is also going on up there. And so it'll be, and there's a few others, but
they got that official is McAllister's.
yeah, McAllister's deli is supposed to be.
You want to tell you can I tell you all the secret? What the traffic is so bad on Highway 231, especially with the 18-wheelers and all the traffic lights.
Toll bridge time off Elm Street.
Well, you have to do a bypass of the bypass, but that'll only take about 100 years, so we're not going to have to worry about that.
Oh yeah.
But I try not to get on the bypass. When I go to McDonald's or Ruby Tuesdays, I cut through the college neighborhood and come in.
I agree with you.
I mean, it takes me longer, but it's safer.
I thought I was putting my life on the line trying to get into the Chick place. What is it?
Chick-fil-A, yeah.
No, not that, but
it's confusing to get in and out of Chick.
Popeye.
no, chicken, Michael.
Crows, churches. It's like 20 questions.
These guys are crazy. It's
our new chicken place? Popeyes.
No, it's
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's Goldfingers.
Michael. No, Steve. Let me hear you. No, not Bojangles, but listen.
God, we've named 10. How many do we have?
Where do you get chicken?
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Not churches, but churches is open now. I want you to know that. But
Jackson's got chicken.
no, they're not that.
Let's name them.
Mossy Grove.
No. This is the where mostly women eat. They mostly. Yeah, he got it. What now? Chicken salad chicken.
Yay, we got it.
That's what we're trying to pick up. We've named about 50.
Well, that was 15. Worth it, though, because we didn't know we had that many chicken places.
But I thought I was putting my life on the line trying to get in there. Golly, it was so much traffic.
You need to tell Cheryl Crow about that. That's Cheryl Crow Plaza.
No, but I'm proud of anything Cheryl Crow does. He's one of my favorite people on this earth. On this earth, and he's probably one of my life's longest friends.
Chick, where girls like to eat. That's what it's
That was my next clue. I said women like to go here, but I enjoyed it.
Something must be wrong with me, because I go there about once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, they had one on Zelda Road in Montgomery pretty early. I would go to.
That'd be
a good conversation today. Is what restaurants used to be in Troy that we wish were still there?
All right, that will be fun, but you started off.
All right, good.
Oh, I mean, mine would have to be, I loved Pizza Village and I love Brooks. Troy didn't have like a really, I mean, I know they got a place downtown that a lot of people like, but a pizza place in Troy, back in the day, Troy used to have several, and they don't have as many anymore.
You know, I always go, when we go Mexican, I always eat at the Mexican place near us, which is Marcos or but there's one in the old Brittany's that I'd never eaten at, but
I go to.
It's highly recommended, and so for Maggie's birthday, we went there. It was good, and we enjoyed it. But I was thinking about the old Brittany's and then how I really enjoyed Mr. Dozier's and Mrs. Dozier's Brittany's.
I sure did. That was one that.
I mean, everybody loved the Pines when it was at the lake.
Yeah.
No
question about it.
Which was Nelson. We called it Nelson's by the Lake.
And also we
Double the life people still talk about.
But you talk about that Mexican restaurant. I've eaten there several times.
Red Wave, Mr. Nonaman had the Red Wave.
It's called Trojan, whatever, Mexican food. And it is good.
And Mr. Crow,
they got one back to back, right directly behind it.
Yeah,
that place is another Mexican place.
All I do, I don't get too fancy. I just say, bring me 5 tacos, beef tacos.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, rodeo's coming to Troy this Friday and Saturday.
We had a Checkers burger. Everybody loves Checkers. Right there.
Yeah.
Kind of like where Chick-fil-A is.
I've heard, and these.
You can get cheap food at Checkers. It was pretty good.
Some
right next to that
better than others.
was Shoney's.
Yeah.
Remember, we had a Shoney's for about a decade.
Shoney's and Jay's. God, everybody went to Mr. Jay's.
Yeah, and I ate at Shoney's many times for breakfast. That buffet
You had
breakfast.
the soup in the salad bar.
Oh yeah.
I would get away when that stress got too hard at work. I would leave and I would go to Shoney's and I would read a Montgomery Advertiser and just
and eat breakfast a while.
Eat in the middle of the day or brunch.
I mean, I thought Country's barbecue was great.
I did too. I like Country's barbecue.
Oh yeah.
And there's no Country's barbecue anywhere in Central Alabama.
Yeah,
now.
they let that.
They're all closed.
And if they weren't, a little greed there. They could have sold, but they just had the price way out of context. What I've heard.
The original Country Kitchen was great too.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
It started them all. I mean, the sisters flows and Julia's too. I think both flow from Mary Finley's Country Kitchen.
I will tell you this: the best place to eat on Sundays or Saturdays. Saturdays or Sundays. Drive to Red's Schoolhouse Restaurant. Fresh peas, green peas are the what's the other peas? Green peas, but
Purple Hull peas.
yeah, purple hulls. But green peas are purple hulls. Fresh cut corn, like you can't get anywhere else. Fresh cut corn. I call it slimy okra, which I love. That's boiled okra. They've got butter beans, fresh, homemade butter beans, homegrown butter beans.
And great cornbread.
The best fried chicken you've ever eaten in your life, including all kinds of pulley bones you can get. Then they got the fried cornbread.
Yeah, I love that.
And then they've got fresh cut barbecue
right next to the chicken.
right out of that. It is the best place to eat, maybe in America.
I've rediscovered it.
Maybe in America on Friday and Saturday. And
they still have a buffet, which is
fresh.
The
buffet is so rare nowadays because they still have it.
And they came out with a wonderful. You see, I love the your carrot salads and all that, especially when you add pecans to it, and it was delicious. And then let's just say this: their food is outstanding. I know you got to drive up to Dublin, Alabama,
but it's not
to eat there, but let me tell you, it is so good.
Well, I have been many times in my life, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, the kids have not eaten at Red's Schoolhouse Restaurant, and so I fixed that. And then it was so good, we started to go back regularly, because we talk about it. Last time we
went,
the
pecan pie is not bad either.
It's packed on Saturday and Sunday after church, and but there was a crisis. They ran out of fried chicken. They had some kind of something happened in the kitchen. Now they had the barbecue, like you said. So and then they have so many vegetables you can load up your plate with. You don't have to really worry about your chicken.
But
I had never seen it. One of the helpers came out, made an announcement to the whole restaurant. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so sorry. Something has happened in the kitchen. They're working as fast as possible.
It's been years ago.
The fried chicken will be out here in 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for your patience. But it was getting close to being a riot because they were out of their fried chicken.
Great chicken, no question about it. And and like you said, how about this? Always they've got rice with
gravy?
milk gravy. Rice with milk gravy. Ooh, that's good. Or mashed potatoes with milk gravy. And
Rice, you like rice?
Yes, and then it would be bad if I didn't. But gravy, but
you know that their chicken's great, but man, Martin's in Montgomery is pretty close.
well, I like Martin's, and
gotta be right there.
But you know, since they don't have that relish, I don't like Martin's as much.
Martin's is an institution. We can talk about Montgomery restaurants.
I've eaten at Martin's many times.
Martin's cornbread's unbelievable.
Yeah, their cornbread's the best in the world. It really is. I want to mention that the rodeo's coming to town this weekend, and of course it starts on Friday with at 7:30 and the full night of rodeo, and then on Saturday they've got not only a rodeo for the rodeo fans, but they've got it starting at 5 o'clock. They've got rodeo for kids.
They call it the Western Festival.
Yeah, that's right, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And from what I gather, if you've got kids, you can just they get listen to this. They get 12 and under free.
I know it.
Can you believe that for this kind of entertainment?
Thank you, cattlemen and cattlewomen. 12 and under
you
free.
You get tickets at Troy Bank and Trust Company's main branch, Don Walker's Western Wear, Piggly Wiggly locations
in Brundage.
And Banks by Right. Yeah, so I tell you what, have you ever eaten at
Banks? You can save $2 to go ahead and get your ticket.
Have you ever eaten at Banks by Right?
No, but I've heard they got a great
that's a good place to go on Saturday morning.
They got good food too.
You sure do.
Well, I need to remember that. Thank you for the.
But again, Reds, tell the folks at Reds that they need to send me a check for all this publicity.
Well, I would say they could advertise, but they don't really need to advertise.
Let me tell you another thing about Martin's. The best coconut pie I've ever eaten. And you guys that really love pies, their meringue is that high. Look here now. That's their meringue before you get to that warm flavor of that coconut pie. And I'll tell you, Martin's good.
You would have to go. You have to go early before the rush to get a table at Martin's. And then the one I always talk about that I bet a lot of people in Troy don't know about is in Old Cloverdale, on Cloverdale Road, is a place called Dirk's Filet and Vine, which became famous for selling fancy steaks and wines and casseroles. Well, they have a self-serve Morrison-style lunch that is really the best lunch and the best food in Montgomery. If you get a chance.
And I've never eaten that there, and Rice's going to take me to eat up there one day before long. Of course, with the COVID, I don't know what to tell you on what you can expect from, but hopefully all the rest of these games, Charles Henderson playing host to the bunch out of Montgomery Catholic, which is one of the top 3A schools in the state. And Eufaula's playing at Central Offense City. That'll be a big game. And again, they play in Tom Garrett Stadium, and of course Tommy Garrett, his son, and I grew up together. And Mr. Garrett was a State Farm agent.
Am I correct in saying that that Phoenix City is on Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, they do. I think they do. They're on Eastern.
And I think Lynette, Alabama is too. Yeah. That has caused us issues in the past.
Boy, I tell you what, that's a team you don't want to play. Lynette is loaded with talent, and that's the home of more college players than you could ever remember.
It's home of Bobby Lee, isn't it?
Oh, Bobby Lee, coached played at Troy.
Coached at Charles Henderson. Was the principal at Charles Henderson.
There's a ton of pro guys that went into the pros. Bobby Hunt went up there. Malin Kent graduated from there, and
well, that's just a little town, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but they have produced a lot of them. But it used to. Let me tell you, that town. What was the name we were talking about?
Phoenix City or Lynette?
Lynette. All right, Lynette was on one side of the interstate. And Valley of Fairfax. You ever heard of that? Valley High School of Fairfax?
Yeah, but I didn't know that they were right next to each other.
They were big rivals, and there's still a name. The town's name is Valley now. The whole town, it used to be Valley High School of Fairfax. And Lynette were big rivals across the interstate from each other.
What are the biggest rivalries? You got
well, I would think that was
WS Neal and TR Miller.
T.R. Miller and W.S. Neal, the battle at Murder Creek, and those are huge rivals
What
right
about
there.
Opelika and Auburn High School? Boy, that's a big
Before
one.
we get off of it, let me tell you the sad thing about living in Bruton. If you're from Bruton and you're on one side of the river, and then on the other side is T.R. Miller of Bruton, a big boy. Those people at T.R. Miller stick their nose up at those.
They look down their nose at the.
They don't even feel comfortable buying groceries at the grocery store in Bruton. It's just bad. It really is bad, and it's all because of this rivalry. And they buy their groceries on that side of the river, and the other one buys the groceries on the other side. They don't want W.S. Neal folks to even come over there and shop.
It's a pretty good rivalry. Charles Henderson versus Pike County is a pretty good rivalry, but it's not.
Really good,
But it's not like it. I mean, there have been times when it's really, really intense. I think it's because both teams had good teams at the same time.
And let me tell you, this was a surprise to me that Pike County was so down in talent, and but it's because of several schools that are recruiting their athletes.
I came back. Pike County wasn't good when I was in high school, so we played them, we beat them pretty easily, and it wasn't a big deal because Pike County wasn't. But then Pike County got Coach Grant, and they got good in a hurry.
Yeah.
So when Bobby was a senior, my little brother, that's now the publisher of the Troy Messenger, he had a team that's that won about half its games, and they played Pike County, and Pike County was, I think, #1 in the state. And I came back from college to watch it, and it was in Pike County in Brundage. Man, you talk about standing room only. I mean, there were people all over the fences. There was no seat.
Is this from Charles Henderson? And
it was a great game. Charles Henderson won. I mean, just held on and won in the last minute. Yeah. I mean, that stands out because I don't know what Pike County Stadium holds, but there were just as many people on the fence and around the stadium.
Yeah, I tell you, Pike County football has brought a lot of football fans to start supporting high school football. I will tell you this: probably the biggest rivalry ever in the state of Alabama was Robert E. Lee of Montgomery against Sidney Lanier High School of Montgomery. This is back in the 60s, and but listen to this. This is no joke now. I'm not whistling Dixie. You had to buy these tickets back in the summer to get a ticket.
Gosh.
They had 25,000. The Crabtree Bowl held 25,000 people, and there were 25,000 people every year at the Robert E. Lee Lanier game, and it was a tremendous rivalry. And they played great football, and some of them went on to play at Alabama. Some of them went on to play at Auburn.
I haven't looked at they were winning. I don't know if they really had state championships before 1964.
That's right.
But when they started having them, you would see that even Lanier was still winning them, or it would be Robert E. Lee. They were both powerhouses. And
then you had Dothan and Enterprise was a big rivalry, and that game's going to be renewed this weekend in Enterprise. So a lot of folks now will be tuning into local hour TC2 and watching a great game.
Charles, when I was in school, we had several rivalries. Opp was a rivalry game. Andalusia was a rivalry game. Greenville was a rivalry game.
Yeah. I played back then, and Andalusia was always a big rivalry, and I never played against Pike. Well, I did play against Pike County too, and against one of their real good teams. I'll tell you how bad one game turned out, and I want Pike County people might want to hear this, but we were playing Pike County one night, and Alan Rogers, their fine running back, broke clean, ran 60-some yards for a touchdown, and they led 14-13 with less than 4 minutes to play in the game. And we came back. They kicked the extra point. They led 14-13. It looked like the Bulldogs for the first time ever was going to beat Charles Henderson. I was in that big orange helmets, and we had a lot of pride. And we went over across the way, and Coach Sadler said, "We're going to run triple reverse. We're going to run the triple reverse." And we looked around and said, "Hey, We hadn't practiced that but one time. We hadn't practiced that but one time, and now we're going to run it. Well, the kick went straight ahead to Rusty Gibson, our fine running back, number 44, and then after we let everybody through, and we went around and set up the screen. You remember setting up the screen, and I was the first one in the screen, the wall and everything. And they Rusty faked Sonny Williford around, and then wait a minute, it was Buck Corley, and then Buck Corley handed it off to Rusty Gibson on the reverse, and he said it went around the left side and set up the wall. The wall was set up perfectly. You remember that?
Yes.
The wall was set up perfectly, and we went ahead and
he ran it back all the way
and scored. Yeah, we went ahead and scored, made it 19 to 14.
Wow.
And then late in the ball game, late in the ball game, they got the ball. We fumbled, and they got the ball and took it inside the 10-yard line. And where they fumbled, or they would have won that game. But that was one of the great games in that storied
That's
history.
like that 1985 game that Bobby played in. That Sam Drake was the quarterback, and Bobby. And there was some controversial play at the end. The game could have gone either way, but Charles Henderson won barely.
Maybe the first great game I ever saw. Charles Henderson play, or Troy High School play then, was when your daddy was a senior. I was just in the 5th grade, and your daddy was a senior, and they had a little running back named Eugene Shaver. He was a junior, and on that team, and he ran a kickback, and they, again, like he said, they set up the screen, and they picked him off, and he went down that sideline right in front of the Enterprise bench, and went all the way for a touchdown, and Troy won the first ever SEC conference championship with a little guy that is number 1. His name was Eugene Shaver. That was Yancey Shaver's boy, and Eugene became a very good player for Troy High School. Later on, Larry Shaver was an excellent linebacker at Charles Henderson High School. And then on down, his son Larry Shaver was another great linebacker.
It all traces back.
That
was Coach Queen was the coach back then.
That's
Sonny
right.
Queen.
He was a great coach. Sonny Queen. But see, I was just a little 5th grader. But boy, I thought the orange helmet was the greatest thing I ever saw.
I can remember when I was in 5th grade, I was living in Opelika, and we weren't from Opelika. We moved there, and my brother was in 8th or 9th grade.
I would think Opelika Auburn was a big rival.
Yeah, but we went to the games. It was like the TV show Friday Night Lights. Everybody in town went to the games. I would watch some football, and then I would go and play tackle a man with the ball with the other 5th graders, over some little field near there.
All right, I'm in the 5th grade. I want you to visualize this. All you guys listening, visualize this. And it's nostalgia at its greatest. I'm walking home. It was on a Friday night, and my daddy was going to take me to the football game later on that night. But I'm walking home up North 39th Street, and I could smell the aroma of freshly
cut grass,
leaves.
Oh, okay.
Burnt leaves. They used to allow you to burn leaves in your yard, and I love that smell and that the fall of the year. The leaves were coming down in the fall of the year, and of course, like we said back then, they most all of the folks was sweeping up the leaves and burning the leaves, and the aroma was unreal. But then there was a haze all over the neighborhood. There was a haze. But then I'm a little boy saying, "Oh boy, this is great," and we gonna go play. So I go play. I go play out in the yard and play touch football up at Gam Green's house on Orange Street.
I bet you played touch football
and
sometimes.
Then that night, my daddy
played tackle football.
My daddy took me to the football game, and then I could eat those wonderful hot dogs. That what they did is they would wrap the hot dogs, but they said that they had your mustard and mustard and ketchup. They would put it together, and made those hot dogs.
Legion Field too.
That's right, those hot dogs, and wrap them up real good, man, you walk up and say, "Give me 2 of those hot dogs for
Stadium
about
dog.
20 cents."
In college, we call them stadium dogs.
But this was at Troy High School, and their quarterback club made the best hot dogs. Harry Bacon and all those folks.
Thank you. They're unsung heroes of a football program. The quarterback.
And then my daddy might have told me, or my daddy said, go down to Harry Bacon and get your football tickets.
Yeah.
See, it made all the sense in the world to be able to buy your tickets before you got there. And
they don't even do that anymore, do they?
And I tell you, I saw a game one night like this, and you folks from Luverne named the running back was Ackerman, Maurice Ackerman. Now you probably have never heard that name, probably because he was not a household word. But he ran up and down the field on Troy High School that one night, and my daddy had to go to work, so we left the game early. So I cried all the way up that hill. It was a hill now. It was a hill you had to go up to get to your short car, and I cried all the way because Luverne was going to beat Troy because of this guy named Maurice Ackerman running up and down the field. I hope that rings the bell to some of y'all. Well, the next day. I always read the Saturday morning paper. My daddy bring it home to me.
Which was back then it was that wide.
And it says right here, it says the headlines. It says, Giddings to Henner beats Luverne. on one of the last plays of the game, Ronald Giddings, the great athlete, threw long to
they had some pride.
To Herbie Henner for a touchdown, and Troy won instead of lost. And so
have you
I went to bed crying that we lost, and I woke up laughing and being happy that we won the game.
Nowadays, you would know right away with the internet.
But a guy named Maurice Ackerman had a Luverne winning that ball game for a while.
Have you noticed there's a theme in our conversations, our nostalgia? The teams with pride, they come back and find a way to win ball games.
Oh yeah, they do.
We're talking about the Jack State UAB game coming up.
Yeah, I'm gonna
go
to that
I have
game.
mentioned that Jack State had Auburn on the ropes. Could have won. Should have won.
Yeah.
But you know what? Auburn did not want to be embarrassed and humiliated by Jackson.
Yeah.
And they had some pride, and they came back and found a way to win that ball game.
How many times have you heard the old saying, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like we do, guys? One leg at a time. There's no difference if we were at the snack shop, at the... Walking the streets and having a big time.
Two things happen. The teams that know they're not supposed to lose, there's this intangible in the air that says you cannot lose this ball game, so pick it up. And then the other teams that says, oh my gosh, we're getting ready to upset so-and-so, and they tighten up. And then
and it happens like that all the time. But again, like if it was at the beach and you were at a dance at the beach and they got in a fight, well, hey, you didn't. That guy from Auburn didn't have any better chance than the guy from Troy in whipping that guy because he said something bad about his girlfriend.
Those Panama City Beach boys get the blades up.
Yeah, well, back then they did. It was tough.
I told you the story that somebody told me. It wasn't even Dad that told me that. Dad was doing the Panama City Bop. And as a high school senior, and he was dancing with some girl, and some big guy kept tapping him on the shoulder, saying, "Can I break in and dance with this girl next dance?" And Dad said, "No, girl, leave me alone." Kept telling him that, and Dad said, "Buddy, we're going to go out and settle this right now." That's the way my dad was. And then somebody told my dad, said, "You know who that is, don't you?" And it was the All-American Zig Smith football player at Auburn University.
Yeah.
Dad said, "Go ahead and you can dance. You can have this dance."
Oh, man. I know this, that back then, if you went to the beach and went to the hangout, you were going to either dance a little bit and fight a little bit. And because most of the folks were there to fight. They and pride in their hometown. Those old boys from Op, those boys from Enterprise, those boys from Ozark, hey, they stood together, man. They got to fight. All of them had to fight.
So going to school, a bunch of guys with black eyes back in the day was no big deal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Boy, again, we're proud to have Zion Chapel on our scoreboard crew this weekend. And
what's Zion Chapel?
It looks like Texas A&M named a quarterback. So
who is it?
Big.
It's going to be King, Hayes King.
Yeah, that's right.
Quarterback.
Sophomore. He played just a few snaps last year, but
Was he a transfer?
No, he played mop-up against Alabama last year when Alabama was
But, Mike, you might have noticed I've stolen your Phil Steele magazine, so
I'm losing. I've lost both my magazines.
I'll bring it back to you. But I have scouted up Mr. King, and he might be good. I mean, we haven't heard about him. And
if he is, they got a chance. If
Jimbo was supposed to be a quarterback whisperer or a quarterback guru, so I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is. They say he is he's a Caucasian fellow, I guess if I can say that, but they say he's one of the fastest players on the team. He runs a 4.5 40, so he's going to be a run-pass threat, kind of like.
Remember Auburn and Troy in soccer tonight.
Seventh in the country.
If I had a kid that playing soccer in the rec leagues or in the high schools, I would definitely have those kids over at the Troy Auburn soccer match that's today at the Troy soccer ball field.
We should take a coffee Milo tea break.
Well, let's take one right now.
All right, well, let me cross my fingers and remember my story when we come back.
All right, okay.
Hey, Troy fans, this is Coach Josh Lauer, head coach for your Troy University volleyball team. Save thousands on new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Shop PremierTroy.com, our local hometown dealership. Nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody.
We can talk about Doc Anderson would put them on.
Yeah.
For Troy and.
Hey, this is Coach Scott Cross, head coach of your Troy University Trojans basketball team. Save thousands on new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Shop PremierTroy.com, our local hometown dealership. Nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody.
Have you been in the house way too long? Are you looking for great family fun? Do you want to get outside and try something new and adventurous? Then look at Butter and Egg Adventures in Troy, Alabama. Ages 5 and up can enjoy zip lines, climbing wall, aerial courses, outdoor laser tag, axe throwing, canoeing, pedal boating, and more. 2 or more people can make a reservation by calling 334-670-9954.
For those teachers out there, get your kids outside by bringing them to Butter and Egg Adventures in Troy, Alabama for a great field trip.
When Mitchell Nissan assembled the More Force to help the car buyers of Enterprise, we looked for the most powerful people to avenge the average deal. Like Twan kicking those high prices to the curb, and Truth bringing honest savings to the Wiregrass. Then I add our Customer Advantage package to every new purchase at no extra charge. Together, Mitchell Nissan is the More Force. More, it's what we do.
Hey, Troy fans, this is Coach Josh Lauer, head coach for your Troy University volleyball team. Save thousands on new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Shop PremierTroy.com, our local hometown dealership. Nobody beats a Premier deal, nobody.
Track teams would set up these. We're talking about old track meets that used to have at Memorial Stadium, and they would bring people from. We had college ones, but big high school ones sometimes, and there would be people spread out, all over the campus, really, and these sitting under these tents. I guess we'd have state track meets, maybe, and sectional.
We have had that here.
And I would go to them. And some of these high schools take track very seriously, and you would see some really good, intense, dramatic, relays and miles.
I will tell you about one. The Chamber of Commerce used to sponsor a cross-country meet in Troy every year. You'd have all these teams from Atlanta down. This is well done. I mean, Westminster of Atlanta. And
they ran on Trojan Oaks Golf Course.
And they ran the Trojan Oaks Golf Course cross-country. And they came from everywhere, Mobile, Birmingham, Atlanta.
These rich schools really like
cross country. That's right. And the rich schools like their cross country. Is this, yeah, all right. Wait a minute.
Guten Morgen. You're on Today in L.A.
Good morning.
Lou Victory.
Lou, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Well, the book is out, doing well. I just wanted to give you guys a report.
Tell us about it. Well, first of all, let's.
How's your health? Last time we talked to you, you had battled COVID.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I'm back playing tennis 3 days a week, so
Cleared
I think I'm doing well. I'll tell you one thing. I look at all this stuff that's going on with COVID. Gracious, you're talking about being blessed, particularly at my age, and surviving it. I think that's. I will say this, and it's a great testament. When the doctor released me, and I may have mentioned this before, but I'd like to again. When the doctor released me, the day he released me, he looked at me and he said, "Mr. Bicker, those tan legs saved your life."
Yep.
And I thought about that. You know, I mean, that's a great testament that we need to stay active and stay busy. You never
You're right.
When were you sick, Lou? Were you? I wonder if you had the Delta variant or the Alpha variant.
Well, I had COVID-19.
I know, but when were you sick? How many weeks or months ago?
May, I was sick almost first the whole month of May. I spent 22 days in the hospital.
Well, you probably, the Delta variant of the COVID is what everybody's worried about now, and it really hit Alabama, I think, starting in July. So I bet you had the earlier version.
Right.
But
that was considered the earlier version.
tell us about your book.
Yo, I tried last week, but you guys were vacationing, so I hope you had a great vacation.
I don't know if we vacation. We might have switched it around a little bit. Sometimes I do the show from Panama City, and my son does it from Grayton Beach. Oh,
okay, great. Well, Mike, the book's off to a great start. I just wanted to give. Amazon has agreed we're going to keep the price at $14.50 until the end of the month of August, and it's by the way, the book, winning the head game, key to elite athletic status. The reviews were just our best reviews, fantastic. So we're real excited about the book.
So you can go to Amazon. Give us the title again.
Is winning the head game the key to winning the head game, key to elite athletic status. But if somebody got a pen in their hand?
Yes, I got one.
To let everybody know in the audience, this is Sonny Smith, the former Auburn great basketball coach's book.
It's almost like an autobiography of Auburn coach Sonny Smith.
Yeah, the first 3 chapters are some stuff that he has never revealed publicly. So, I mean, it's well worth the read. Sonny grew up in a home without electricity, running water, indoor plumbing. He was that way until I think he was like 15 years of age.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know. I've had some interviews and been around Sonny Smith. What you call a prince of a fella.
Yeah. I tell you what, I need to get Sonny to call you guys one morning.
I would love for you to.
Yeah, do that.
He's still the Auburn basketball color guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is. He does stay. He still does the color work, and as he talks about it, he says, "I'm great at preparation. I read the stat sheet, and that's it."
Yeah. So. Guess who I just had a call that we probably missed, but he'll call back. Is Max Howell calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. Y'all's paths have probably crossed a few times. Hadn't you and Max Howell?
Oh man, I communicate with Max on a regular basis.
Well, we'll bring him in here in a minute. We'll bring him in here on the next
5 minutes.
But
that's great. Well, Mike, I wanted to give. There's a number. If you go to Amazon.com/books. And put in this number, it'll take you right to our book, mine and Sonny's book. It's 979-858-983-0118. So that.
One more time.
All right, 979-858-983-0118, and that's.
There's another way to do that though. Just go to Amazon.books and put search by author's name and just type in Sonny Smith, and it ought to come up.
Yeah, it should come up that way too.
Just put by Sonny Smith.
Well,
Lou Vickery.
yeah, and of course Lou Vickery, former pitcher for the New York Yankees, and boy, he could tell you stories.
The Yankees won 11 in a row.
Yeah, the Yankees are hot, aren't they? We're headed that way. Going to try to catch a game in September. So by then they'll probably have cooled down.
Yeah.
But
when you go to a Yankees game, do you have any former players that you played with back in the minors that are still living today?
Very few. I communicate with
Bobby Richardson's living. Bobby Richardson was one of them, wasn't he?
Yeah, Bobby's deceased.
I didn't know he died. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bobby's gone.
How about Tony Kubek?
Tony's still around, but he lives up in Wisconsin.
Then what's the...
There's very few. I think somebody told me there's like 7 left off.
Moose Skyron's still living, isn't he?
I don't think Moose is living.
Is Whitey still living? Is Whitey Ford still living?
He just passed away
last year.
Oh boy, I tell you, he was a great one. And then,
can I share a real quick story?
Sure.
Whitey had retired when I went to the Yankees. Whitey had retired, and they had a practice field behind the regular practice field in spring training, and that's where you taught the teachers. That's where they would teach pitchers all the tricks of the trade, like how to mix the ball and don't tell me that stuff doesn't going on. You'd fire your belt, guys, till it was razor sharp, and you nick the ball on your belt a little bit.
Yep.
Put your finger in that little nick spot. You're talking about doing some dipsy-doodle. It was dipsy-doodle. So Whitey was the greatest in the world at that. And he'd take us back behind the fence and teach us a trick or two. So.
You know, for a young boy out of Brewton, Alabama, what Brewton, or were you out of Atmore, excuse me, at Atmore, you went to spring training with all those great Yankees at one time, didn't you?
I did. That was '65. In fact, I stayed on the roster for that until we went to the Superdome, the Astrodome. Played the first game. I understand it was the second game played there. It was an exhibition game, and the Yankees won it 2-1. Mantle hit a home run, but won it 2-1.
Oh man, Mantle was my hero.
I was having some arm problems. I got put on disabled list after that. So.
Bob Turley, Ralph Terry was a couple of the pitchers that would probably have been around other than Whitey Ford. Isn't that right?
Well,
Bob Turley was a big old pitcher.
Yeah, those two had already gone, but Mel Stottlemyre was. You have to understand that the Yankees went from first place to 7th place that year. So everybody got old at one time, guys.
Mel Stottlemyre was a legendary pitching coach.
But I will tell you something about him. He had a great sinker ball. You don't even hear of anybody calling it a sinker, but Stottlemyre made you hit it on the ground. You couldn't hit it in the air. He made you hit it on the ground, didn't he?
Absolutely. You know, the thing about him, he had an overhead sinker.
Yeah.
Very few guys with an overhead delivery could make the ball sink, but this did.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet Mel Allen from Birmingham?
Yeah, I did. I sure did. Mel Allen was announced. He was announced. I don't know how many years. But
he was always his biggest job was the All-Star. He always announced the All-Star game. You remember that?
Right, that's true. I tell you, one of the interesting things about that clubhouse, guys, that it was amazing how many actors and would come through the clubhouse. It was just like open. Mm-hmm. It looked like Hollywood.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you could get dugout or clubhouse seats, that was a great deal.
Yeah,
I was a big Yankee fan. Yeah,
I mean, Mickey Mantle was like the closest thing to like today, like Michael Jordan or LeBron James.
Now let me ask you. You'd be good to answer this. How much money do you think Willie Mays or Mickey Mantle would have been making in these kind of days? Well, Mickey Mantle could have offered $100 million probably.
I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah.
It was an interesting thing. They were both the first, Mickey and then Willie were the first two to make 100,000.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
And,
And and the thing about everybody, you saw that movie, the M&M Boys with Mantle and Maris. That was a real. A lot of people said that was really exactly where it was.
The movie was 61.
61, yeah. Boy, wasn't that something.
well, you think about. I have a picture of those two together, autographed picture. I don't know how much that would be worth today.
Oh, I know it.
Money. Talking about
Any Mantle card's worth almost $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to mention this.
But you talk about heroes.
Yeah, you've got something there.
These days and times don't even know what a hero is. But let me tell you, a hero was a Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays or somebody like that. But that you really, that box score every day I search the boxes to see how Mantle did.
Well, let me share this real quickly with you, and I have it it's in my a different book. I have a book called Reach Beyond that was predecessor to the current book, but I told the story of Mickey Mantle in there. He dressed right across from me, and every day he'd have to wrap his legs from his ankles all the way up to his thighs with wraps so he could go play. It was a total different era, but he noticed that I did not have, maybe I've told this story before, but I'll tell it quickly. I didn't have a contract, a shoe or glove contract at the time, and he noticed I had older equipment. He asked me about it, and I said, no, I don't have a contract. Well, the afternoon when I came in, I had a locker full of new equipment. So, and this is the key. He says, I said, thank you. And he says, kid, you're a Yankee now, and the Yankees go first class. I think it's important we all recognize, let's go first class.
Yeah, that's right. No question about it.
Well, congratulations on the book being published. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, guys, I do appreciate you giving me some time to talk about it. We're really excited. It's off to a great start.
Give us the title again.
Winning the Head Game, Key to Elite Athletic Status. So,
and one thing that people can, his claim to glory was he coached one of the all-time greats, Charles Barkley, and coached some other great players too. But old Barkley, did he tell a lot of Barkley stories?
Yeah, he does. We got a Barkley.
He coached a guy named Chuck Person. That was pretty good too.
Yeah.
Old boy from right out here, Brantley.
Guys, I'll share this with you quickly. Barkley is the only ex-player he talks about in the book. He didn't want. He was afraid he might say something that if he talked too much about this one, I might enough about it. But he tells a story about Barkley coming to visit with his wife Jan when she was in the hospital. So, and it's a great tribute, I think, both to Barkley and to Sonny. I'll leave this with you. Barkley said that he. For the first 3 months, he thought his name was S.O.B. and then he said, and then I realized, he said, he went from being that to me to being a father. So I thought that was a plus. Anyway,
thank you for calling.
You do a great job. It's always great to visit.
Appreciate it, Lou. Come by and see us here. Take care. Bye-bye.
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 Okay, and of course we're still trying to get Max Howell in here, and let's see that
now
is.
He's got a line
got a line open. We can call Mike Amos from Grayton Beach this morning, and
but that man who called in was a longtime major league, minor league pitcher.
I don't think he ever made it to major league as a player.
No, he made it to AAA. I looked it up one day.
Yeah, he was a good one locally though. Man, he was really good.
But
then somehow he ended up in Troy coaching.
Well, he and I were the same. He and I and William Davis coached on the same team that Jim Tompkins was the head coach.
So he coached at Charles Henderson, lived in Troy for a while. Then
We
he went
lost
into
one
business
game.
and became a motivational speaker and writer.
He's done it all and everything. But there we go. Let's bring him in. Top one. Just top. Good morning. How you doing?
Mike, you almost been knocking him dead.
I know it. We just got off the phone with Lou Vickery. You know Lou, don't you?
Yankees.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Max Howell is our guest, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, Max, me and Rice we can't wait to football season.
Well, you know, that's how you say that. I'm taking the first show tonight.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, I've been up since about 4 o'clock this morning trying to get the script
Oh,
ready.
boy.
It's going to be a completely different show, Mike, than I've ever done before.
Yeah.
I got a co-host that's, you talk about credentials, buddy. I'm intimidated by his credentials. This guy's got a music background. He's played for the Rolling Stones, with Leonard Skinner,
Oh, boy.
Tom Seeger. I mean, he's been worldwide. And so we're gonna try to throw a little music from Mississippi, little blues in there, and let him handle all the keyboards and all, and I'll throw a little football in.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Awesome.
And you'll do it from Fulton?
And you should
or
not
you'll do
have
it
a
from
shortage of.
Tupelo?
You should have no problem coming up with content to talk about.
Yeah,
the Rolling Stones lost their drummer yesterday.
Lost their drummer, right? Well, this guy's a drummer, by the way. So he knew the guy personally. Yeah, he's actually the guy's from Fulton, and I knew of him, but I had no idea about his background. Gosh, yes, I went. He's got a studio in his house, and his attic is probably 3,000 square feet, and you have to turn sideways to go through it. There's so much equipment in there. So anyway, I'm excited about that. Like I said, we're going to do a trial run about 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to try to take it about 7.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about the coming year? Do you think anybody can beat Alabama, or who's the closest thing to it? Oklahoma in the bowl game, or?
Yeah, probably. I think Oklahoma's got the most talent to do it. You know, I think you have to combine a couple of things, Mike. You got to combine the talent level Alabama's got. You got to combine the history they've got. You got to combine the coaching staff. I mean, look, a lot of people throw that in. The coach Saban turns over many coaches, but he keeps winning. His system. In fact, Bill O'Brien said, I read this thing. He's been on that staff. He's the offensive coordinator. He's been on that staff 7 months. He said he's learned more football than he did when he was a head coach at 2 or 3 other places. I mean, obviously he was in the NFL for 8 or 10 years on top of that.
Is he learning it from Saban or what?
I think you put all that together, and I think Coach Saban is so disciplined with his approach to the game that he'll take them one at a time, and the schedule is very favorable, I think. So yeah, I don't see anybody beating them right now, unless they have they can always have a bad day or Bryce Young being a freshman can throw a couple of picks and that kind of stuff. But if you look at it on paper, that's why they're going to be favored in every ball game.
Of course, the game at Florida is going to be a big one, and one at Texas A&M. Those two are definitely possibilities.
Max, I'm trying to figure out who's going to win this Nebraska-Illinois game this weekend. You got the great Brett Dilma at Illinois down. Nebraska and Scott Frost have had all kinds of off-the-field issues.
Scott Frost better win it, or he'll be without a job soon. Is all I can say.
You know, everybody thinks those Nebraska folks are so nice. Well, they're not nice when they're losing.
Well, and he's a graduate from there. On top of that, but they've not had it with him. I tell you, I heard an interview with him this past week, and I think he understands where he is right now. He was very non-committal about anything. It was the worst interview I've ever heard from a head coach. He wouldn't talk. Hardly. The guy doing the interview was asking some pretty hard questions, but he wouldn't even. He said, "I don't know." He said, the future's is in the hands of the team. I mean, he was just giving general answers. So he knows. I think the lines have went about 7 today. They're favored to win that one. Of course,
Went from 11 and a half to 6 and a half. Everybody's jumping on Illinois.
Well, it's because of, Michael, I think it's because of the turmoil in Nebraska more than anything else. Bielema, that was in Arkansas, was new head coach there.
And, even though he did well when he was in Wisconsin, he didn't do too well in Arkansas. So we'll see how he does in Illinois.
Of course, everybody's excited about
the Johnny Williams Classic coming up in Montgomery on I guess Wednesday night.
Yeah.
You have Jacksonville State UAB. Don't you think UAB and Bill Clark? I mean, don't you think Clark's? I mean, if he has another great season, it's got to eventually get a big time job.
Yeah, I think so. But you know, his name came up in several this past year, but I don't even think he got an interview. Guys, it's just I can't tell you, having been there at both levels, it's hard to make that move, and it's almost impossible for a high school coach to get to that next level. I mean, in today's marketplace, I get questions all the time about guys that are trying to move up, and some of them have been very successful at the high school level or junior college level, or even the smaller Division I level to move to the next level. They're gonna have to go in as a GA or a low assistant.
Yeah.
Gradually try to work themselves into it.
Yep.
You're exactly right. Hey, it's who you know. Did you get that? Who you know?
And that's still the staff. It's what you know after you get there.
You know, Bill Clark might just be happy at UAB. He might
It
say.
may be. I mean, look, guys, he stayed there for 2 years with no team.
Yeah, right.
They paid him $600,000 a year while he was there. But
Yeah.
I got
He makes $1.6 million, which isn't bad.
no,
I know it.
he's okay. And remember, he's been at Jacksonville State for 1 year.
That's right.
Been well. He's done well everywhere he's been. Starting at Prattville High School. I guess he started somewhere before that, but then he was at South Alabama. Then
Alabama, I believe, as a defensive coordinator. And of course, he's got all the credentials. I don't think there's any doubt. There's something about those committees that start searching out, particularly at the big Division I schools. If they reach to that level, I mean, if he could go undefeated a couple of years, and I think he'd have a great chance.
Yeah.
But winning 8 or 9 at that level, that's not going to get him anywhere.
You know, I've looked at UAB's schedule, and they play Georgia, so they'll lose that game and be an underdog. But I don't see anybody else that UAB ought to be an underdog to this year. So I mean, UAB could go 11-1 this year.
They could.
Yeah.
The luckiest football coach in America, though, is Malzahn at Central Florida. He hadn't got a worry in the world. He's got $23 million coming from Auburn over the next few years. And I imagine they'll break it down like that, $23 million. And he's just coaching football. He loves football, and he'll take that Central Florida.
I think they gave it to him in a big lump sum. They didn't spread it out like they do a lot of coaches.
I think he's already got most of it.
But he's so rich. He's so rich, and I'm sure he's living in beautiful Florida and on the beach and everything.
Lives out there at Disney World.
And he's got a job that he can probably win 9 games a year and not even have to worry about anything.
You know who Auburn is still paying? Auburn is probably still paying Gene Chizik. You know, they did spread it out over 7 or something years with him.
And I tell you what, that's a guy that is a real. Do you know him very well, Chizik? I like him. He's a real nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know him very well, but I watch him every Saturday night. The wrap up. And I think he does a really good job.
And I'm sure, like Mike said, Auburn probably still paying him some a yearly fee, don't you think?
Yeah, Chizik has surprised me more than any coach ever that he's so good on television. I never saw that at all when he was coach. But man, he's been great.
You know, Frank Sadler and I drove over to. Frank Sadler and I.
He does well with with the other guys, and like I say, he does his homework.
Yeah.
He's got credentials.
You know, everybody used to always talk about this strength coach at Central Florida, and it was Chizik. And he's big old. See, another thing, he's a big bodybuilder back then, big bodybuilder.
Still is.
And boy, I mean, nobody would say anything negative about him because we'd whip him. But he's quite a well.
Chiswick did he? He was on the Florida football team, but I don't think he played. He was like a walk-on. But he was there about the time my good friend Charles Bradshaw played at Florida for 1 year. But yeah, I think Chiswick is one of the examples of a lot of these successful coaches that really actually never played college football.
Well, I think Chiswick did. He played a little bit, not big time though, I don't believe. But he was a big bodybuilder. Had a reputation. Had a big bodybuilder, that was back when Central Florida just started moving, started getting bigger. Well, Max, what are your plans now? We've got those games this weekend, and what you gonna be doing?
Shit, I'll be on the road Sunday morning, Mike. I got a speaking engagement. Listen to this. I got a speaking engagement Sunday night in Indianapolis. I got one Monday at noon in Louisville, Kentucky, and one Monday night in Nashville, Tennessee.
Gosh.
Is this all on football or what? Or your business?
No, this is all in my real business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I got a full schedule. Let's say that.
Yeah.
I just have to be back and do we're going to eventually tape our show on Saturday night. It'll be released every Monday at noon. The rest of the time, this coming up fall, I'll probably be on the road most of the time.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, it's good to see you.
Chiswick played 1 year at Florida at linebacker in 1981.
Okay.
Yeah, so Charles would have been there in 1983 for 1 year. So he
When Charlie Pell been the head coach then?
Yep. Charlie Pell gave Charles that scholarship, and I think Wayne Peace was the quarterback. They had some good teams. Wilbur Marshall was their star linebacker.
Well, Max, tell us a little bit about what you got for dinner. What are you going to be?
We just I'm house sitting this week for one of our couples that's in our meeting. They're out on the West Coast vacationing, so I'm out here. You wouldn't even believe this house. Anyway, it's sitting on about the yard's 3 or 4 acres, I guess. It's got a deer stand in both the back and front yards.
And feeders and all that.
I mean, listen, that's a look out there to see wild turkey or deer running across the yard. So I'll stay here, but they'll all be back, and we'll get started the first weekend. We got the banquet on the Friday night. I'll have to come back. I got some things I got to do on Saturday. I won't be able to stay for the game, and then I'll cook for them on Sunday.
Yeah. Now I promised a few guys that you're gonna give us your picks next week too. Now on Wednesday or Thursday. Whichever is best for you.
I'll get back Tuesday, and I'll be okay on Wednesday.
And you're gonna give us Max's 3-game picks.
I want Max's locks.
And I want Max's lock of the year.
I pretty well give you 2 of them already.
All right, I'm all ears. Go ahead.
Who is that?
I think Alabama just rolled from Miami.
Okay.
First of all.
Yeah.
I really do, and I think Clemson beats Georgia.
I like that.
That's going to be, I think, two of the wins right there.
Is one of the reasons Clemson is good is because they got such a hard-nosed coach? Because he is hard-nosed.
They got 9 starters on defense coming back.
I didn't realize that.
So we'll get a chance to see that. Here's the thing I would not want to do. I would not want to be the play-by-play announcer, because if you see the names of the 2 quarterbacks,
the Clemson quarterback, I can't even come close to. I still can't get to a Tonga Valoa.
But now I think that guy's got a lot to prove. Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but like a guy said, those guys aren't from around here anywhere. Not within
let me tell you this. I disagree with you. I think on a neutral field, Georgia Bulldogs. I think Georgia's going to.
Well, Georgia has a lot of people back too.
Tell me why you think that, Mike.
Because they're quarterback, and they hard-nosed. Because the nature of their coach. The nature of their coach.
Well, let me explain that to you. The quarterback you mentioned. Okay, first of all, he left Southern Cal because he couldn't play out there. He got hurt. Got a reconstruction knee injury. He came back in the middle of the season. He won 4 games last year against 4 teams that didn't have a winning season. Now, just think about
awesome.
second is, think about the guy that got on the sideline. He's actually lost 2 championship ball games with his lack of coaching ability.
Yeah.
Now, he's a great recruiter. He can get them there. I defy somebody to show me a player that's got better since he came to Georgia.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's coming.
That game is a interesting game.
Yeah.
That Clemson Georgia. That's huge. A huge game.
We're going to have to go. Max, thanks for calling. I'll see
Good luck
you
with
next
your show.
week. Now,
I'm
the
gonna
Hall
try
of
to
Fame.
find it.
Stay on the line, Max. Stay on the line after this. We'll be, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and we'll see you tonight, this afternoon at the soccer field.